Well, thank you, Janice, for your kind words. And I've known Janice for most of my career and shared the stage with her many, many times, but never had such a great honor to share the stage with you. So, sincere thank you. Chancellor, President, Provost, Deans, honored guests, families, friends, and above all, 2017 graduating students, I have to say it's a huge privilege to be here with you today, to address you all and to receive an honorary degree from such a distinguished institution, and from a faculty whose mission is so well summed up by the phrase, engineering and designing a better world. It is an honor to become an official member of the Ryerson Family, and I did have to look that up on Google. And while I managed to get away with not denying myself or dyeing myself purple, you'll notice that I did put on a purple tie today in your honor. And I'm sure today, for all of you, brings a sense of joy and relief, particularly for your parents. When I was asked by President Lashimi to give this year's commencement speech, I was really, really excited. He could see my excitement when he told me. And I had so many stories and ideas of wisdom and bits of wisdom I wanted to share. But as today approached and I sat down to put my thoughts together, the task became much more difficult than I thought it was going to be. What thoughts and lessons from my journey would I share? What would I have done differently? But more importantly, is my experience even relevant to today's graduating class? As with everything we seem to do today, I also started with Google. I Googled it. I Googled the best speeches, the funniest speeches, the most popular speeches, some from my peers, they weren't that funny, some from Hollywood actors like Jim Carrey, and I said to myself, I don't think I could ever be that funny and do a 15-minute stand-up routine or make all those faces that Jim Carrey does. But his message of not letting fear dictate choosing a path of practicality rather than passion really resonated with me. I also watched Steve Jobs and the emotional connectedness at the very end of his incredible life journey. And his message of putting yourself out there. I watched Steve Minchin and J.K. Rowling. And my head was filled with all of their thoughts and ideas. It was really an interview that I did with a journalist just a few weeks ago when he asked me the question I often get asked, or get asked the most, who has been my biggest inspiration? And I answered, as I always do, my mother. That's when all of my thoughts came together for me for today, that this is a journey. Fortunately, the ultimate destination is the same for all of us. So you have to make it your journey, with all its surprises, setbacks, twists, and turns. Not someone else's journey for you, not someone else's ideas filling your head. I was 13 years old when my father passed away. We lived in Montreal. My father owned a small furniture and lighting business. In fact, our house looked more like something from Back to the Future than anything else. Everything that didn't sell my father's business seemed to end up in our home. But when he died, my mother took up running the company, alongside bringing up her 3 young kids. She was a huge inspiration to me, and I learned so much from her as I grew up. As she dealt with the enormous stress of losing her husband and faced the challenges of becoming a small business owner, she taught me the importance of resilience, courage, and helped me find my own internal strength. My journey dramatically changed its course when she sold the company. She sensed, as the eldest son, I felt a huge obligation to run the company for my family, but that I did not have the passion for it. Her largest and most generous gift to me was the freedom to pursue my own path. So today I want to share a few of the lessons I've learned throughout my journey. Number 1, dream big, but get on the road. My mom always used to say that I was a dreamer, and she always encouraged me to have faith in myself and what I could achieve. I joined Royal Bank as a co-op student while I was still at school. I started as a software programmer, but it was soon as I started interacting with clients that I found my true passion, and I knew that this profession was for me. I knew that serving customers in finance was where my future lay. And I soon began to dream and wondered at a young age what it would like to be CEO of RBC. And I would say to myself, as you should always say to yourself, why not me? I believe that having a big dream and setting big goals is really important to achieving big things. But it's also just as crucial to stay humble and focused on your work. Now, I'd be lying if I said I had a game plan for my whole future, and at 22 years old, I certainly wasn't obsessed with being the chief executive of Canada's largest company. In fact, it actually rarely entered my active consciousness, but it was always there in the background and helped create the drive and focus over the long journey to CEO. But as I reflected on today's world and the fundamental shifts technology and software are driving in our everyday lives, our work, and our careers, I don't think any generation has faced such an open and undefined road of opportunity and challenge as yours does. I do really believe the best advice is to get on the road, to get in the game, to build a series of experiences to draw on, and to focus on roles rather than jobs. It is nearly impossible to know what the future will look like. You are going to create it, or what a specific destination might be, because you will define it, or what role you're going to play in it. The next big thing will be just around the corner in your periphery. So as you move forward, you have to know that you're never going to stop learning. As you graduate today, it could be easy to think, enough with the tests, enough with the all-nighters, enough with the learning. Now let's go out and just put all this into practice. Well, I'm sorry, I'm here to tell you that your learning has only just begun. And I can honestly tell you that I have never learned as much as I have in the last couple of years since I became CEO, and that includes my time in school. Meeting new people and constantly learning from them is the greatest privilege of my current job. Your degree, I would say your excellent degree, has given you the foundation and the framework to learn, to build, and to solve problems. But it is not a ticket in itself to a successful journey. You will come across many people whom you think have lesser degrees or come from lesser institutions. You will compete, and one thing I get to see as a leader who deals with many, many successful people around the world is that it's really how you leverage both your ability to learn and your ability to build relationships. And as I think back on my whole career, every day in the office has been a learning experience, and I have constantly been picking up new skills. And one example I want to leave you with is throughout my career, I tried to learn 3 jobs at a time. I obviously focused on the job I was in and tried to exceed expectations of our leaders, but I also tried to learn my boss's job and to put myself in their seat to see what challenges they faced, the strategies for managing employees, and how they made decisions. Then I'd also pick one of my peers and try to learn their job. That way I figured if I ever got transferred, I would have a head start. I truly believe this approach helped me accelerate my career, and is really no different than what a startup CEO has to do to be successful, or what I observed my father doing as a small businessman. Take one job and learn 3, you'll get on a curve that says, I'm ready for the next step. You're lucky. As engineers and architects, you're graduating with in-demand skills, but no matter what your degree or what you know now, you'll never be done learning. All that an employer can ask of you, or you can ask of yourself, is to be curious and to be adaptable. My next lesson is failure is your friend. And this is a tough lesson. No matter how much and how quickly you learn, there will be times when you're going to fail. I know it's not easy when things go wrong, and I can tell you I've certainly had many setbacks, difficult times, and disappointments in my own career. And when I failed, particularly when I had tough bosses who let me know just what they thought about my failure, it felt really hard. So how do you turn a setback into an advantage? First of all, you focus. You dig down, you work a little bit harder, you rely on the people around you, and you're going to come through it. You'll learn so many lessons for next time, and it's during those times of self-doubt that true personal growth really occurs. It's not our successes that define us, but how we deal with our failures. When I look for leaders in my own business, I certainly don't look for people who have all the answers. In fact, I look for just the opposite. I look for people who know how to find the answers and aren't afraid to fail on the way, who have demonstrated resilience, who have stretched themselves to break. If you want to achieve your dreams, you have to make failure your friend. That way you will learn the lessons that will enable you to reach your ambitions and ultimately realize your dreams. And so on to my last lesson, finding purpose in your life journey. I grew up with one television, 2 television channels, and a rotary dial landline. And I was a technology guy when I grew up. And that's all I had to connect me to the world. And understanding what was going on in creating change seemed like a near impossible dream, well beyond the grasp of the average student. So back then, we tried a little less often and dreamed a little less big. Today, you are empowered with platforms and tools where any change is truly possible in our society. But with that comes an enormous responsibility to change the world in a way that brings all 7 billion people with you on that journey. We are reminded tragically almost every day now the enormous costs of not creating opportunity and hope for all. For me, the greatest joy I get in my current role is to help our organization of 80,000 employees live its purpose of helping communities thrive. It means raising $102 million for the United Way in Greater Toronto. It means running the Race for Kids and donating over $27 million for children and youth and charities around the world. And it means rolling up our sleeves and pitching in to make our communities healthier and stronger. Life will get busy. Trade-offs between work, family, friends, and individual pursuits will get much harder for you. You will need to discover what is important to you and find their order in life. For me, it has always been family, as I didn't grow up with a father, then company, then community. I have now reversed the order of community and company, but wished I had done so sooner. Looking back, I have to tell you that there is no greater reward than selflessness, making the choice to be kind, giving back with your time and your heart. It's no easy thing to do. I think Larry Lucchino, the former president and CEO of the Boston Red Sox, not the quote you think I might bring here, said it best when he said, "Life is not about warming yourself by the fire. Life is about building the fire as engineers. And generosity is the match. If you want happiness for an hour, take a nap. But if you want happiness for a lifetime, help somebody." I'd like to leave you with one final quote. American novelist James Michener had a great line when he said, "Scientists dream about doing great things. Engineers do them." I like to modify that a little bit and say, first, dream big like scientists, then get it done like engineers. And whatever you do, never stop saying to yourself, why not me? I want to sincerely thank you and congratulate all of you in the class for your wonderful degree. I wish you all the best on your journey in the future. Thank you very much.